Hi, everyone. We're just going to get going right again on our slides for uh, leadership development. All right. And talk a little bit more about that process of perception. And this is a big one because this has to do with perception and the perception biases and perception in action. And perception biases can cause a lot of trouble when we're letting those biases affect our our actions, our decisions, our um, our ideas about how a person is or how they behave, or whether or not this person should get a raise or should get uh, the chance to move up in an organization. And the problem that we see a lot is due to the self-fulfilling prophecy. So the self-fulfilling prophecy occurs when our expectations play a causal role, not a casual, a causal role in bringing about the events that we predict. So when put another way, we expect someone to fail, and so they fail. We expect someone to succeed, and so they succeed. And it's not because we have some sort of sixth sense. And in fact, perceptions like this and tilted thinking are often why people think that they have maybe special powers, or that they are, there's some invisible hand up there guiding people along and how they do things. But in reality, it's subtle changes in the way that we behave, and in the way that behave and we act towards other people, and we pick up on it with our subconscious minds, and those little subtle influences affect their behavior, and in turn affect the way that that they perform the way that we expect them to perform. So there's some really interesting studies on this. There's one that I love. It was a multi-year study on uh, military officers and military cadets and new recruits. And they did the study again and again and again. Always, they kept getting the same results, statistically significant results that were correlative, and showed that perceptions and misperceptions affect outcomes. So the study was this. So they had officers, and they told the officers beforehand, uh, we're going to tell you this about your cadets, but please don't let it affect the way you behave towards them. But just so you know that these people, and they give the list of a third of the people, are superstars. These people outperform all the others. They're the best people in the all the cadets. And then these people are the mediocre cadets, and then these people are the poor performers. And they were randomly chosen. They were randomly put into thirds. They would just go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and that's how they put them into those categories. Every single time, year after year after year, the study, every single time, the cadets performed the way that the researchers predicted they would behave or said they would behave, just on a random 1, 2, or 3. So and they were told often that they were told not to let it treat not to let the ideas about the students make them treat the students or cadets differently. So what does that tell you about systemic racism, about unfair perceptions, about shows like Cops that were on for 20 some years that only showed images of of Black youth uh, getting behaving badly and getting chased down by police? I mean, you can understand where some of these long held ingrained beliefs come from when people are only shown negative images about other people. So anyways, not to get too deep into this, but this is why as managers we have to be so careful about our expectations of our subordinates. And when we're leading, we have to as much as we can know that this exists and this happens, and that we can affect their outcomes just by what we think of them. And I personally have seen this 1,000 times. I expect the best out of people, and people deliver. They deliver. I expect that they're going to work their butts off, and they're going to make companies that are multi-million-dollar companies, and again and again and again and again, they do it. And so just remember that, and it works on yourself too. So expect the best out of yourself. Avoid negative self-talk. I mean, there are real negative consequences, in reality, from doing these kind of things. So the way it works is this: person one has an expectation of this other person. I heard that this person's nice, so that person two just is they behave ambiguously, just however they would normally behave, just normal. And I, person one, come back to right here, says, oh, well, that person is nice, right? She seems personable. So my expectation is confirmed. And so I initiate that positive interaction between that other person. I say, yep, she's nice. So I'm going to be nice to this person. In return, she's nice back, yada, yada, yada. It further strengthens and strengthens. So we need to really understand that these sort of biases exist and that we can affect the world around us by what we think of the world around us. So back to the reflection in the model. Reflection offers leaders insights about framing problems differently, about viewing situations from multiple perspectives, and about understanding our subordinates better. Leaders tend to ignore the reflection part of the learning model because we don't have any time, right? Or maybe they aren't aware of the value of reflection. But intentional reflection, intentional, thoughtful reflection may prompt leaders to see potential benefits in the experience that before they didn't really consider was relevant. Because remember, when we go back and we reflect, it's a much higher level of learning and of thought process, and it gets rid of the just response type of. So anyways, what is this called when we actually sit there and we but when we come back and we sit and we reflect on what we've done, or we take a few moments to debrief and to go over what we've learned. Well, this is a higher form of learning. We call it double loop learning. Single loop learning is when we don't go through that process. We don't want to challenge ourselves. We don't want to confront any misconceptions or misperceptions we have about ourselves. We stay in our comfort zone. We do what we know. These are more managers than leaders. Double loop learning involves saying, no, I'm going to confront my own ignorance, and I'm going to put myself on a limb, and I'm going to take the initiative, the time to actually learn. To debrief. Another word for debrief is they call them AERs, after event reviews. It's an enhancement technique. It's debriefing after a learning event. This is a single loop learning is managers, and double loop learning is true leaders. Is true leaders. Remember, we were saying how leaders really want their subordinates to learn. They push them to grow, and they do that also by they themselves not being afraid of failing. I have lots of little sayings that I like to say, but one of my favorite sayings is, if you're not failing, you're failing. I guess it's kind of a silly saying, but it's true. If you're not failing, you're failing. Because if you're not pushing yourself hard enough to do something wrong and to actually fail, then you're failing. That's not good. You need to try harder and to put yourself on a limb and be willing to just make a muck of things, right? If you're always winning, that means you're not really winning, because you're not trying hard enough, and you could do better, right? Because if you did better, you'd push yourself to the point where you would fail, right? So at any rate, embrace failure. It's part of learning. So, and learning is also stressful. It's very stressful. And think about the true learning you've ever done in life. When you really learn something, it hurts, right? It's not pleasant always, right? When we learn to walk, we fall, we fail. And so we need to continually be willing to embrace the failure, right? Bring it on, bring it on. And we also need to be willing to continue learning throughout the entire life, right? Learning is not something that happens just in formal education. College is a great place to push ourselves beyond beyond the rote memorization that you see in lower level learning. College is when you're supposed to develop critical thinking skills. It's supposed to be when you learn about service learning, and when you should be taking a multidisciplinary perspective or view towards your education, so you're holistically developing yourself as a human being in all facets that are important to be a really high functioning, intelligent, critical thinking human being. Education is not just about getting a job and making some money. I remember back in the day when entrepreneurship education was just becoming a thing, people would always say, "Oh, why would you teach entrepreneurship in college? Right? If you're going to be an entrepreneur, why go to college? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You need that foundational knowledge. You have to have that holistic uh, intelligence that you're getting right now, all of you in this high level learning." Anyways, I'm going on a tangent. Stop, Tanya. Service learning is also important. Service learning uh, is is being of service to our community, to those around us, and not just behaving in a self-serving manner, but being a little more altruistic. Uh, Leadership programs should also involve service learning. They should also involve feedback, because feedback is reflection, right? It's the debriefing AER. Case studies, role playing, simulations, games. All of these are excellent ways to learn how to be leaders, and that's why we do a lot of like self reflections and things like that in this class. And uh, leadership training it works. It's worth the money. The ROI, the return on investment, is positive. It's substantial. It's one of the best ways that you can spend your money in an organization, is to train your subordinates and your employees to be more leaders. And how we build these programs, these leadership programs, depends on where what level the employees are at. Are they first level? Are they supervisors? Are they CEOs? And first level supervisors. So these are people who are, they're supervisors. They're leaders in the organization, but maybe they're just maybe they have 5 people that they supervise, or 10 people. They're just line supervisors, or shift supervisors, these kind. And those kind of employees, they do still need development. They need more training, monitoring. They need to learn how to give feedback to other people. They need to learn how to give performance reviews. Now, when you get mid-level managers, that's when you need to make sure that you're doing more simulations, in basket exercises, uh, uh, 21st century employability, communication skills, time management skills, interpersonal skills, teaching more, you see here, things like goal setting, teamwork, et cetera, et cetera. And a multi-tiered approach is effective. It should focus on not just the hard skills. It should focus on soft skills, on personal growth, on on real world uh, training that looks like what they'll do when they're done with the training. And when you get high in an organization, like for senior level executives, C-suite, CEOs, CTOs, CFO, et cetera, then it should be even less of the day-to-day and more strategic in nature. Um, Still interpersonal. You still want to have both soft and hard skills, but anyways, traditional training versus action training. So traditional training program, those, and we're talking about leadership training here. Traditional leadership training programs typically were done during work hours. They were oftentimes like theoretical training, foundational training, but and it can work. I mean, it can be effective, but it does seem artificial. Transfer of training seems to be lower based on the research. So it's better to take on, if you're doing leadership training in your organization, focus more on action learning, or behavioral learning, experiential learning, tactile learning, basically doing things that you're actually going to do at work, right? As part of the process of learning, right? So like a case study is excellent. A business case study is an excellent way to learn, but why not make it a real business case, something that's like happening at that work, or something that could happen or looks like what would happen. So we're doing this really cool alternate, I don't know if you guys know, like alternate gaming. Let me see if I have the slides up here somewhere. I think I have them here. No, I had them around here somewhere. I wanted to show you guys the, what I'll do is I will put them in, I'll put them into your Canvas class, but I really wanted to show them to you. I thought I had them here. I'll put them in your Canvas. I'll put them in your Canvas. Oh, actually, maybe I already put them in. Yeah. So we have some upcoming workshops. This is a really a heck of a lot of fun. Reminds me a little bit of like Dungeons and Dragons. In that it's kind of role playing, and role playing is excellent in business. And so we're doing this sort of it's it's ARG, alternate reality gaming. It's this 2-week real world sort of case study with role playing, and you get to go through and you get to act like an entrepreneur in the development of a startup, and we give you all of these fun challenges, and it's really fun. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of seats available because we're bringing people from SDSU, UCSD, USD, CSUSM, and Miramar College, and Palomar College. And so there's a lot of different colleges, and we only have like 15 people who are going to be doing it. But if you can get in on this, definitely, sign up for it. Excuse me. Or see if you can get in on it. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then whoever goes through this 2-week program, and it's just, it's not like the whole time for 2 weeks. It's like March 1st to March 10th. It's like, well, it's during the middle of the week. It's a few hours each week. But when you're done, you'll be invited to speak at the Global Entrepreneurship Educators Conference in April. It's a really big deal. There was like 1,000 people there last year. So anyway, sign up for it if you're interested in that. It'll be fun, kind of. Oh, we were talking about action learning. So, all right, I shouldn't have got off topic here. Where was I? Okay. All right. So last few slides that we have here. Review. Finish up here fast, and I won't keep you much longer. Development planning. So this is development planning is just like it sounds, taking a concerted, I'm trying to think of the word here, taking your planning of your development and leadership training seriously, strategizing it, right? Taking a strategic approach to the planning. There we go. And we know that to make lasting, enduring behavioral changes, we have to have leaders understand what the training is for and really be on board. So there's 5 questions that you can ask. If they give positive answers to these 5 questions, then the training is likely to be lasting, enduring. So do they know which behavior needs to change? Do they know specifically, where they're lacking? Are they motivated? Do they have plans in place for actually changing those behaviors? Do they have the opportunity to transfer training? We call it transfer training, or practice the new skills on the job afterwards. And is there accountability, right? Do they have personal responsibility for changing those behaviors? If they do, then typically it's effective and it lasts a long time. So it's more of a development planning is more of a plan, or more of a process than a plan. And excuse me, good development plans are constantly being revised. They're not static. As new opportunities arise, as new skills are needed, they change, right? You realize that you need to pivot as you learn new skills, and through development planning, leaders can pivot as they go through their daily lives. One type of effective action learning is coaching. Coaching is not the same as mentoring, but it's related to mentoring. Um, Coaching, it's a leadership skill where we're teaching leaders how to be leaders by working with mentors. And there are formal and informal coaching uh, coaching arrangements. And it's coaching is unlike mentoring in that it's typically more directed towards a specific specific skill set, or a specific knowledge base, or something a little bit more specific, right? Again, it's type of action learning. Informal coaching takes place whenever, anytime a leader is helping one of the subordinates to change his or her behavior. And there's typically 5 steps to any coaching, and that is, first you have to form a partnership. Then you have to inspire commitment. They have to basically see the vision that you have and get on board with it. Then there's the growth of the skills, persistence, and then shaping the environment. And informal coaching basically can occur anywhere in an organization at any time that a leader is helping a subordinate to change his or her behavior. And it can be very effective. Um, it's it's tough right now with this remote learning, and it can be tough when you have people who aren't like each other or don't know each other. They have that real deep level diversity, Republicans coaching Democrats, religious, those kind of things can be tough and not always as effective. Formal coaching programs are little different. They are, like they sound, formal. They usually are put into place by the leadership in the organization who wants to find other new leaders in the organization to move up to the executive management position in the organization. Mm. They're usually long-term in nature. They're usually like a year long, and they have regular meetings. There's feedback, there's systems, there's handbooks. I just put together a coaching mentoring program at Miramar, and we have a 20-page book that goes along with it, and it's it's an effective process. If you have a if you bring in a consultant to help with coaching, it usually costs anywhere from 30 to 50,000 on average, but it can cost more than 100,000 if you have if they build the entire program. it can be it can and often is more effective than changing behavior with other types of training. And that's because of behavior modeling, right? We see that it's effective for a longer term, and it's a quick way for people to learn a whole lot of skills very fast. And again, it's because of behavior modeling. So it's very similar to mentoring. Mentoring is a little different. Mentoring can be just as effective and a lot cheaper. There's a lot more informal mentoring that goes on. Mentoring is more of a relationship, and it's more of a learning about the entire process of being a leader, being a CEO, being somebody high in an organization. And you can learn a lot in a short amount of time by getting a mentor. You can also learn a lot by being a mentor. So when you're choosing a mentor, choose somebody who's where you want to be. And usually it's a few levels up in an organization, and they help with everything. They help just by being themselves, right? Again, it's not the same as coaching because it's usually not like specific developmental needs, like they need to learn this and this and this skill. No, it might be just somebody to shadow and to learn about how they're them, right? They could even not be in the organization, right? You can have mentors that are totally totally informal, that you set up yourself. I have mentors that I've had my whole life. They're informal mentors. Gosh, but it's such a great relationship. If you don't have a mentor, get a mentor now. Go through the formal program. SCSU has an amazing mentorship program. If you're an entrepreneur, get a mentor through like the Lavin or the Zip. The Lavin actually, I think, is the one that does mentorship. Amazing program though. Yeah. Mentoring is often based on friendship. It's often very long term. It can accelerate the development of both female, minority. It can accelerate the development of any protege, but it is very helpful for minorities and females to have mentors who look like them. And it's hard sometimes. Well, I mean, now maybe it's getting a little bit easier for women, but I know when I was your age, I don't know how old you are now. When I was younger, when I was in college, I had a hard time finding female CEOs, like I wanted to be, to mentor me. And even female teachers at the higher level in business was hard at that time. So it's really important that we have mentors that look like the people that are going up, so they can see, hey, it's possible, that person's doing it, I can do this. Not everyone wants to be a leader or believes he or she can be, but they're selling themselves short. Everyone can be a leader. Keep an open mind. Don't talk negatively to yourself. Avoid those self-defeating generalizations, because why? We know that through the self-fulfilling prophecy, we can tell ourselves to be successes or failures, and either way, we're right. Okay. Take a risk, embrace failure, love failure, but learn from failure. If you continually fail and you're not learning anything each time, then that's not the same thing. So yeah. And be very aware of the role that perception plays in biases in leadership development and in things like institutional racism and sexism and any kind of bias against another human being. These exist. Know about them, and so you can get rid of them. And take on some challenges. Be a leader, right? Don't be afraid of failing. Put yourself out on a limb. I know you can do it. So that's that. We will see you for the next video. Take care. Bye.